What's up, everybody? It's Danny Green here, back with more Inside the Green Room. My co-host, Harrison Sanford, NBC Sports Philadelphia. And in this next episode, we're joined by George Hill, my longtime homie. Got to talk to Chance about his connection with Allen Iverson. So let's get to it.
So Danny was drafted in 2009. George Hill, his new teammate, was drafted in 2008. Danny, as a 12-year veteran, you and I have talked about this year, the fact that you've played almost every game. It wasn't until this past weekend where you missed the game against Oklahoma City that you got your first missed game of the season, your first excused absence, I would say. Mm-hmm. With that being said, Dwight Howard also has been in the league for a long time. And this year, you guys are realizing your age because you've coached your teammates in their early parts of their careers.
Yes. Well, Dwight's old enough. He's only a year or two older than me, but he's been playing the league long enough that some of these guys were not born when he first started. And he has debates every day on the plane about, back when, him and Derrick Rose, MVP, top MVP race, debates of who's the best big man, who rebounded the best. They have all these debates, who's top 5, who's top 50. And recently, so when we just got our new guys, we got Mason Jones, we got Rajon Tucker, and Tuck, he goes, I don't know if you remember this, man, but you coached me at Carolina camp. He's like, yeah, man, you were my coach there. And I didn't even ask what age he was when he was there, but it was long enough for me to feel old. And I was like, damn, I coached Tuck. And I kind of remember his face. He obviously wasn't as big. He looks like a linebacker now. He's a little running back. He looks like a football player. He obviously wasn't as big as he was back then. But it's amazing how, things come full circle and how, certain people, certain guys, certain kids you inspire or watch or play or have coached are all grown up now and kind of being there on the same level as you.
Speaking of longevity and playing every game this season, we've seen an uptick of injuries this year. We've seen a number of guys go out. I know we saw Jamal Murray, somebody who recently went down with the torn ACL. When you see that, and when you also think about your team's chase for the number 1 seed in the East and your team's chase for the NBA Finals, where do your thoughts go? Because you have to manage both. You have to manage a lot of things here in the chase of that ultimate goal.
Definitely, man. Jamal Murray, prayers up for him. Unbelievable player, great kid, great person. I thought Denver is still a very good team. I thought they had a really good chance at doing something special this year and getting one of those bigger teams. I saw them knocking off. They could possibly knock off the Clips or Lakes, Clips again or Lakes. I saw them doing something like that. Without him, it's going to be tough. And when you see something like that happen, those things, it's a short season, so many games, so many injuries, and you see, Joel have a wild, injury, but luckily he came out okay. All you can do, man, is just pray for those people and pray for our guys, and hopefully that we stay healthy, because that's the biggest, key to the game. It's not just, playing well, but staying healthy. The team that's the healthiest team is the team that usually is the last one standing. So we got to continue to take care of our bodies, continue to keep praying for those guys. We're praying for ourselves and make sure everybody comes out of this game healthy and that, we can last throughout the rest of the season with everybody, with, only just a couple bumps and bruises, but a tip-top shape.
It is the reality of sports. Guys are going to get injured. It's the game that you guys have signed up to play, but definitely hoping that we can get the remainder of this season with majority of teams, or all the teams rather yet, staying intact. And speaking of your team staying intact and hoping to get somebody off the injury report, it's George Hill. He'll be joining us next on Inside the Green Room.
What's up, everybody? It's Danny Green here, back with more Inside the Green Room. My co-host, Harrison Sanford, and one and only George Hill, man. Appreciate you joining us, man. Longtime homie. Much love, man. Thanks for joining the show. Welcome to Philly. What is it that you were looking forward to and love about Philly since you've been here?
Well, I'm still looking forward to these cheesesteaks that everyone keeps talking about. I keep getting about 60 different places saying that these are the best cheesesteaks, so I'm just trying to figure out to narrow it down to one of the best. You can't have 60 of the best cheesesteak places, but I'm really excited, other than that, to be back in contingency of, competing for a championship. And, it's easier when you have friends that play on a team. So, we go back all the way to 2008 and stuff like that. So it kind of makes it easy to come on another team when you got people that that you talk to on a daily basis, that you see around the city and things like that you normally live in. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to getting back out on the court with you guys to contribute to any way I can.
For sure, man. It's crazy. 2008, I remember that. We were in the same draft workout. Before you got drafted, I went back to school, but you got drafted to San Antonio. It's crazy to thinking back that long ago. It was 13 years now. Yeah, 13 years. And I remember also, funny story, said we were talking about it earlier, you know, how much they loved you in San Antonio. Of course, you go back there, you have family there. Your family is there. When I was there, I was learning ropes from you. You were, let me say, one of my vets, but you were one of the guys that helped me understand the way of the world in San Antonio life. And I know how much they loved you there. And I guess the right before, I guess, Kawhi, they traded for Kawhi. The night before, we were out as a group. And they're like, you know, you were joking around. I don't know if anybody knows George well, but George is a big jokester. I'm saying, yeah, I'll see y'all, man. I probably won't see y'all tomorrow. They're going to trade my – I'm like, man, get that. They ain't going nowhere. They love you. And sure enough, it was crazy, man. But luckily, you got traded back home to Indiana. Talk to us about what that was like. I know obviously it's a you know, bittersweet moment going back home, but also leaving a home in San Antonio.
I mean, for sure. Like you said, it was bittersweet. You know, I've embraced San Antonio with open arms from the first day I came, and they did the same. You know, not just the team, not just the coach, but the city of San Antonio. So for me, that's my second home. It would always be my second home. But like you said, it's always a joke. I think around trade deadline, I always say that I'm probably gonna get traded. Because I've always learned you always keep your bags packed in this league where they so called it a business. So in that aspect, you know, like you said, it was kind of bittersweet, but at the same time, you know, I have to tip my hat to Coach Pop and the whole Spurs organization for giving me the opportunity, not just to get traded to see what that felt like, because no one wants to get traded, but at the same time, they gave me the opportunity and the blessing to go back home and play in front of my family and friends. So I could have been upset and mad, but at the same time, it was a new chapter, a new journey for me. And I think it worked out for both parties. You know, I got to go back home, play with my family and friends and things like that. You guys got to get that draft pick from Indiana that you guys end up drafting Kawhi Leonard, who turned out to be one of the best in this league so far. So they got a championship out of it. I still joke with Coach Pop to this day, say you guys owe me a championship ring because without that trade, you guys probably wouldn't have won the championship. So I think I need half a ring or something.
Can you guys take me through the mentality that you guys approached the season with at different moments? Danny traded from the Lakers to the Oklahoma City Thunder, one team winning a finals and the Thunder not competing for the finals. And then George, same thing for you, ending up with OKC after being in Milwaukee, a team that was competing for the champion, competing to be in the NBA finals. George, can you start? What was your mentality going into this season, and what stabilized you going from such different goal-oriented franchises?
No matter what team I'm on, what direction the team wants to go, I always taught, you know, being, you know, in San Antonio around that group of guys, the Manu Tims, Tonys, Bruce Bowens, and Jock Bonds, and Mike Finley's down the line. You can go on, that there was only way, and that's to be a pro, no matter which way you go. So me, you know, going to OKC with Sam Presti and those young guys there, you know, it wasn't the direction that I wanted to go, but it was the direction that the organization wanted to go. And that was to develop, you know, the young talent, get good draft picks, and start to rebuild OKC. You know, it was a talk that I had with Sam Presti in the beginning of the year to just come in, be a professional, be a mentor to these young guys, and do the best I can. And when he found a contending team for me to go to, he was going to make that happen. And, you know, it's kind of funny because, you know, talking to Danny, I always said, you know, during the season, like, man, like, you're blessed, you're lucky to be competing for a finals, be competing for a championship and things like that. And he always said, just keep your head up, man. You possibly can get out of there soon. So to go full circle and to be on the same team now competing, you know, I'm trying to do what Danny does, you know, put some rings on my head.
It's funny you say that because when the trades happened for both of us, I think I had just got moved from OKC to Philly, but we were both in San Antonio at a point right before the season started, and he just ended up in OKC. And, you know, it's the same approach for both of us. We know the atmosphere, we know the business. Like I said, keep your bags packed. And as you get older and as you make it, you know, your name becomes more of a trend in trades, All-Star, I guess before the All-Star weekend, before the break, in the offseason. And guys, as you get older, so you joke about getting traded all the time. You're like, oh, you know, I'm probably going to get traded. I'm not doing a great enough job around here. You know, I'm expendable, you know, as you get older. But we know what we bring to the table. But we had actually met in San Antonio. We were there during the same weekend. We had a lot of mutual friends still there that we check up on, and we were talking about it. And I said, you know what, you might end up in Philly, man. You never know. Just, keep doing what you do. And, you might be, said you probably end up on a contender at some point. And so to see it come full circle is kind of crazy. But yeah, you got to keep that same mentality, man, of being a professional, regardless of where you are. I've just been lucky. I've been blessed to be a part of some great organizations, some great teams. I've landed in great spots. But if I were to be in OKC, I'd be the same approach as George. I'd have to be that locker room guy and that guy to help rebuild an organization. But so I've been lucky, I've been fortunate, and I've been put in some good situations to where, and now George is here too. We have a lot of familiar faces and guys that we know that we can put together a group to hopefully have a chance to do something special. We continue to see social injustice across the country, man. Why was it important for you to speak up last year for Jacob Blake? And what are you hoping to see in the case of the Dante Wright situation?
I mean, it was important for me because I just felt like it was the right thing to do. I was raised a certain way, and I was always taught you choose humanity over money and fame. And I think it's something that the world is truly missing. We don't have enough people who think the same way. Right is right and wrong is wrong. But it touched me in a different way too, because it happened in the city that we wore on the front of our jersey. We represented that state and that city, and for that state and that city to not represent us in that matter was something that it didn't sit well for me. And it wasn't just the Jacob Blake situation that didn't sit well. It was the other two guys that got killed and the other person that got injured the day after by the young 17-year-old from Illinois that came in and killed the people. So it wasn't just a black situation, but it was a right situation and a wrong situation. So I was just as mad for the Jacob Blake situation as I was the day after, where the other two individuals got killed by the young 17-year-old driving across state lines with his AR. And I just felt like it was the right thing to do, man. It was the right thing not to play that game, to shed light that this is something that we can't continue to see, and to just, turn our eye and turn our head on and not think about it.
It definitely was the right move. I know that everybody wasn't on the same page at the time, but I think we needed that break to refocus of why we were down there and what we were doing. It kind of happened abruptly, but it was needed. It was necessary. I'm glad you spoke out. I'm glad that we delayed. We paused for a second. Said to reiterate, what we are here for, what we're doing, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve, and use our voices for. So, to me, that was a big step, man. Couldn't be more proud of you as a friend. And he said, now that you're a teammate and still my brother, I'm excited to have you on and see what we can achieve this year. But what you do off the court, man, is inspiring. And it said, I can't speak enough on how proud I am of you as a friend and instead of homie. And I'm sure everybody else around you would say the same. So, yeah, man, keep doing what you do, man.
We're still in a big uphill battle. For what we did we still see it day in and day out. As we can see, what happened in Minnesota again after the George Floyd trial is going on, that, an unarmed African-American man is getting killed by the police again. I just feel like until we hold those people in charge accountable, nothing will ever change. That goes for any profession. A doctor that will mistake something for something that they got that kill someone will be held accountable. So if a doctor can be held accountable, if these guys that are on the front line to do something is getting held accountable, then the cops should be able to be held accountable just like any human being. At the end of the day, they have to go home to their family, just like this kid had his family and the kid to go home to him also. So the weight difference in a taser and a pistol is night and day. I could have swore all pistols is black, and I could have swore mostly tasers is bright yellow. So it doesn't make sense to me. And somebody that is 26 years in should know the difference.
We talk about chemistry when it comes to teams on the court and obviously off the court as well. And you guys have referenced your time in San Antonio. Greg Popovich has been very vocal about his thoughts when it comes to social justice. And you're also, both of you guys are now playing with Doc Rivers, somebody else who's very vocal about social justice matters. I wonder what impact does that have potentially on the court when you have a coach who doesn't, that you not just agree with when it comes to X and O's, but actually you agree with when it comes to things of this nature? Huge,
man. Plays a huge part. And I think that's the reason why most people love playing for Pop and being a part of the organization, because we knew he had our back. I don't know how well George knows Doc just yet, and he just got here, but Doc has gone through it himself. He played during a lot of those years and even worse times. And I'm sure he'll shed light on it and give you his political views. But for him to be able to give us his experiences and the things that he's gone, his knowledge on what's going on, and also for them to have our backs, not just on the court, but off the court, allows us to trust them more and to buy into everything that they have going, what we have going on as a group, and we more like family. And the more you feel like family, that chemistry is that how far that can go. And so there's things that are bigger than basketball. Obviously, we love the game, we're passionate about it, and we want to win. But off the court, that's our everyday life. You can't ever escape that. We can't change being Black. Our families are gonna still, go through these instances or these situations and scenarios that, they're gonna be bad. So we got to continue to fight and push for it. And said, hopefully we have those people behind us, like a Doc, a Pop, to be able to use their voices to shed light on it and hopefully get change, the change that we need and change that we want.
Danny, did you ever get a scholarship offer from Temple?
I had probably gotten some letters back in the day. I don't know if I got an official offer, but I definitely did get some letters.
He was too big time. He was too big
time. George, go ahead, Danny.
No, I definitely, they gave me an offer, but it wasn't like I didn't get a chance to meet with them. I had a couple of visits. Unfortunately, one of them wasn't with them. I do have some friends, obviously being in the tri-state area. I do have some friends from Philly and I went to school there. Always thought if I could be good enough when I was younger, but then, one good summer and then other schools start recruiting you. Kind of got lost in the sauce. But yeah, never got a chance to visit Temple.
Ain't no need for no apologies. It's all good. You're doing it's all good.
It turned out all right.
It turned out all right. But George, from my understanding, you did get a scholarship offer to Temple. You also got a scholarship offer to Indiana, I believe. But you ended up going to IUPUI, try to say that 5 times fast, and committing there. And I think part of the reason was because of your great-grandfather. If you can tell us what was behind that and what made you stay at IUPUI?
I mean, definitely so. He was one of the big reasons. I was fortunate enough to meet my grandfathers on both sides. My mom doesn't know her dad and my dad doesn't know his dad. So I was fortunate enough to meet my great-grandfather, and he always wanted to see me play. He never got an opportunity to because his age and his illness and things like that, just getting old. And, IUPUI was one of the closest places to where he was in a nursery home and things like that. So when I made that decision, I made it based off of being close to my family that I was really close to and being close to my friends that were like my brothers. Let alone to have my great-grandfather see me play. That was one of his dreams. He never got to see me play because basketball just wasn't my number one sport. I was a football and soccer player growing up my whole life. So once I got to like 8th grade year, I started to really focus on basketball. And that's where it took its course there. But, I made that commitment to go to IUPUI for him to watch me play. He ended up passing away my senior year in high school. So he never got to watch me play, but I stuck with it. I always told myself, you make decisions for a reason and you be a man about your decision and you stick it out. And, God blessed me to be in a great situation, being there to take over that university and put it on the map.
Yeah, man, sorry to hear that, but it seems like it turned out well for you, man. IUPUI was the spot. Did well, man. I know your great-grandfather is looking down on you very happily, very proud, man. But I know that even though you didn't get a chance to come to Philly and be at Temple, I know you'll like Philly. Considering what said, you did tell us about you had a good, heartwarming story about one of the, I guess, connects that you've had with the Philadelphia organization. Tell us about that a little bit before you got here.
I mean, as a kid, I think every kid grew up watching Jordan. That was every kid's idol at the time, especially our age, Danny. Grew up, you just wanted to be like Mike. But I was that rough kid. I came from the inner city. I always wanted to be like Iverson. You know, I was a fan of him. I loved everything he stood for. His demeanor on the court, off the court, was something that I can relate to. He was one of the biggest reasons I wore number 3. So, you know, coming here was kind of tough for me because the reason I wore number 3 is the reason I can't wear number 3 now. But that's all respect. You know, I get to play and put on this jersey that one of my mentors that I really looked up to wore and wore it proud. So I have 2 3s on my jersey now, one for me, one for him, which I would say. But, you know, my wife and my agent at the time, Mike Whitaker, really surprised me one day for my birthday. You know, they got the old field jersey, the red, white, and blue jersey signed, you know, by Allen Iverson. He put Hall of Fame on there to my own name, to George Hill. And then, you know, I was fortunate enough, the photographer caught a picture of my rookie year when I was guarding Allen Iverson. So he kind of blew that picture up and signed that picture for me also and sent it to my house. And not that they just didn't do that. He actually gave me a call on my birthday to wish me happy birthday. It was probably one of the best gifts I ever received in my life. Something that I always remember, something that I always cherish.
That's awesome, man. Hopefully, so things get back to normal. We'll have him at the games, man, because I know he's a big guy. He loves to show a lot of love to all of us. But hopefully we'll have him in the locker room soon. But that's great, man. That's awesome. That's awesome.
For sure.
Appreciate you, George. Thank you for coming on the show.
No, yeah, thanks for having me.
Much love, man. Much love. Hopefully get you back on the court soon. Hopefully get some wins and get ready for this playoff run.
Sure.